Obviously, everyone listening knows that our nation was rocked over this last weekend with riots allegedly stemming from the most egregious conduct that America watched online, watched the conduct of the Minneapolis Police Department dealing with a citizen, an unarmed citizen, who died as a result of the conduct of the officer. That incident is already, the 4 police officers involved have been fired. The 1 police officer who committed the, what I think it has been labeled murder of George Floyd has been charged. But I want to focus today, instead of on all of the devastation that we saw around the country, here in Dallas, where I live, around the country, we saw devastation in major cities around this country. I want to focus on who's really behind it. What is the right reaction of an America that is overwhelmingly disgusted with the conduct of that police officer and the conduct in other cases involving excessive use of force by police officers, but also unwilling to tolerate the violence, devastation, burning cars and businesses, smashing windows, the just absolute rampaging mob that happened around this country? What's the right reaction? How do we get to that? So my first 5 today, I want to start first. I sent to Matt, the very wonderful producer, a map that was put out by former New York City Police Commissioner Carrick, and he put up a map, which is not a Twitter map. I want to quickly have you take a look at that. He's saying, is there anyone that truly believes that this was not an organized event? How much do you think it would cost for communications and travel and manpower for an event like this? Whose money's behind it? And as you can see, he is posting, this doesn't even begin to capture all of the disruption, violence, rampages around this country. He lists cities, what had occurred as of the time he posted this was 18 hours ago, probably 24 hours ago by now. Cities around this country and the devastation. And his point, I believe, what I want to launch off on to start with is the reaction to this incident, which no one is defending this officer, and there will be, the justice system is going to do what the justice system does, investigate, almost surely indict and prosecute and move forward on the justice system. But the reaction we saw across America was not just because of that incident. There were peaceful protests by many Americans of all races, backgrounds, ethnicity, skin color, who were appalled by the conduct of that officer, appalled by other incidents involving unfortunate altercations between police officers and citizens. There were peaceful marches around this country. However, in most of the major cities, the peaceful marches either evolved into a violent, destructive mob, or other groups unrelated to the real peaceful protesters became part of the protest and engaged in destruction of property, fires, and ended up painting, unfortunately, a broad brush of everyone who protests against what happened in Minneapolis because of the conduct of the rioters. As you'll hear throughout the show today, we'll talk about the role of Antifa. President Trump now saying he is going to declare them a terrorist organization. That's a huge thing for him to do. It isn't just name calling, it carries legal consequence. And there's going to be, and President Trump, is trying to stand back and say this is really a job for governors and local police authorities, local officials to deal with. It's not really supposed to be the federal government in Washington getting control of all these riots around the country. But he is making clear he will if he has to. I want to tell you a few other key points. I think that, to me, the biggest takeaway is if you get lured into thinking that we're on the verge of a race war, that we're on the verge of a war between whites versus blacks, you are part of the problem. You are being sucked in by Antifa and other radical leftists in this country whose very mission is and always has been to divide America, to create chaos, to create hatred and division. This is not a battle between blacks and whites. This is a battle between people who love America and want to have a justice system that is just, recognizing no justice system on the planet Earth has ever been perfect. We need to make corrections. We have people of all races, ethnicities, skin colors in this country committed to forever working on improving American culture and society, improving the relationship between police departments and individuals, improving the behavior, improving the culture of our country. This is a battle. What we're in right now is not black versus white. It is those who love America and those who hate America. Those people stirring up protests, encouraging young people to engage in that violent conduct, those are people who were already, before anything happened to George Floyd, determined and committed to destroy this country. I'm going to wrap up my first five by asking Matt the Wonderful to play something. This is a clip. It was actually put out in a tweet, but it's a short clip from a gentleman who's a member of the Cincinnati City Council. He is out watching the destruction of his city, and he's also watching the not peaceful protesters, the violent protesters, the Antifa-funded protesters, and in many cases, some factions, the Black Lives Matter protesters, who are encouraging young men, young 14 and 15-year-old young men, young black men, to commit crimes in the course of this protest. And the emotion that comes out of this city council member, I want to have Matt the Wonderful play it for you, and that'll wrap up our first five.
Just to protect the cops, but it was just to protect the people. And what I can't understand is that this is Cincinnati police. This is not Minneapolis police. And what they're doing is just absolutely horrendous. As a member of city council, this is my first time ever seeing something like this. When this first happened in 2001, I was only 17 years old, right? I can't understand for the life of me what is going on right now in the city of Cincinnati. And I'm going to be here until these folks and other folks are protected. Let me tell you something. There are people down here who are encouraging 14-year-old kids. These babies are 14 years old, man, and they're encouraging them to throw bottles at these cops. And these grown people are encouraging our babies to fight. This is not their fight. And I will give a how mad or angry you are with what is happening with the police. But these 15-year-old kids have nothing to do with this, man. And these cops, black cops, white cops, or whatever like that, they did not do anything. And I'm not here to take one side or the other, but what I'm suggesting to the people of Cincinnati is that what type of success are you going to have with attacking these people that have nothing to do with this? And what I'm saying is that you got people down here who are literally encouraging kids to attack cops.
Okay, there you see a grown man, a black member of the Cincinnati City Council, obviously driven to tears, watching what these protesters are doing in terms of convincing young teenagers to engage in violent conduct. I want to hit two more very quick points in this first five, then we'll turn to the completely wonderful guest we have, Star Parker. One is, many economists are writing about it. I want to tell you again, if you haven't read these articles, you can read them on our website, americacanwetalk.org. On the homepage under show, drop-down list of links. Economists say that after the 1968 riots, in which many businesses were destroyed, and other times in America we've had riots that destroy inner city businesses, the impact of those riots, the destruction of the economy that happens in inner cities to black-owned businesses, to low-income families, hangs around. The impact, the devastation hangs around for decades and decades and decades and decades. It's important to understand, nobody can say to you, I support Antifa, I support violent riots, and I'm doing this to help low-income America. I'm doing this to help Black America. When you engage in the kind of conduct we saw, you are not part of the solution to anything. You are driving America to division on purpose, and you're really hurting the very people who you claim you are there to speak up for. That not just George Floyd, but Black America and the whole problem Black America has had in the past in dealing with police officers. One last point, Bill Barr. Attorney General Bill Barr has said that the violence instigated by Antifa is domestic terrorism and will be treated accordingly. You may just have to have federal intervention in some of these places. I hope not, but that's where we may end up if we do not have the local police authorities, the governors, the city councils, the city police departments take charge and stop this violence. And that, my friends, is today's First Five.